and welcome to Climbing Daily.
It's a Friday Gear Show, and today we're going to be looking at
long-term test reviews. Right, let me get this jacket off, which we'll talk about later, and I'll explain to you what this show's all about. Now, when people send us gear to test at EpicTV, we tend to do that initial test having not used the equipment for a huge amount of time. We then get it, we keep it, we use it, we climb with it, and by the end of that process, we're way more knowledgeable about the gear. So today we're going to take 3 items that we've been using over the last couple of years and tell you what we think of them. Honest opinions, and we're starting off with the Singing Rock Quickdraw. Now, quick draws are an essential part of all outdoor rope climbing, and they're generally split into 4 categories. You've got all-round, fast and light, sport-specific, and extenders. Now, for years, I used an all-round quick draw. It was the Black Diamond Positron, and that was great. All-round quick draws are designed to cover every aspect of the sport, from sport to alpinism, but they aren't designed to excel in any of those areas. Now, personally, I mainly sport climb, and it started to play in the back of my head that maybe I should be getting a sport climbing specific quick draw. So what is a sport climbing specific quick draw? Well, generally they have a different shape, size and ergonomic feel in your hand. They're designed to make clipping into the bolt and clipping the rope as easy as possible. And because of that, the size of the carabiner themselves is often larger. You get these little grooves cut out them to help with the grip. And the bottom carabiner, the one that you clip the rope into, it tends to have a curve in the gate, and that helps with that clipping method. The dog bone is chunky and nice to grab onto if you're working a route and you need to pull on the drawers. And they're generally a little bit heavier and more durable than all-round or fast and light quick draws. Now, the problem with being a little bit more durable is that weight thing. They are heavier, and usually this doesn't matter. If you're red pointing a route, that means that the quick draws are already in place. So you've climbed it on your warm-up or you've practiced it, you've put the draws in, and they're not hanging off your harness when you go for that all-important send. So is weight really a problem? For me, weight does play a part in my decision to get these draws or not. Lower weight is better for a multi-pitch, and generally heavy things are just nasty. Why not go for something lighter? Now, don't think that lightness means that much less durability. I've been using these long term, and there's a tiny bit of scratching on them, but generally they're absolutely bomber and in perfect condition. So don't think the lightness means weakness. These weigh 99 grams, and when you compare that to the Wild Country Proton, which is 120 grams, you can really see that difference, especially if you have a set of 12 hanging off you. I have really enjoyed using these quick draws, but there are a few difficulties with them. The first one being is it hits a sort of weird middle ground, and it's to do with that light weight. It's very hard to look past the masters of the DMM Alpha Quick Draw and the Wild Country Proton. The sheer size and strength of those things is a perfect sport climbing quick draw, whereas this lighter feel and a smaller gate size perhaps isn't as natural to clip. So if you are a pure dedicated sport climber, I don't think the weight makes a difference. Okay then, so this is a perfect multi-pitch sport climbing quick draw. Yeah, kind of, but there are lighter all-round quick draws that are lighter even than these. So I think unless you're climbing very difficult multi-pitch routes, you maybe are better to go for an all-round. It is a kind of a weird sweet spot, and it's not going to appeal to everyone. But if you're looking for a lighter sport climbing draw that's going to be used for different things, then the Colt is for you. You just have to know what kind of climbing you do to see if this suits you. The other thing I noticed is that using a clip stick with these draws is quite difficult. It's to do with the shape and the grooves on this gate on the quick draw. It can be done, it's just fiddly, and 9 times out of 10 you put it up right near the bolt and it will just pop out of the gate on your clip stick. You can get around this by swapping the carabiner, but if you use clip sticks a lot, that is a consideration when thinking about buying this quick draw. Despite those difficulties, one major plus is the price on these. Currently, they're around about €101 on the EpicTV shop for a pack of 6, whereas the Wild Country Proton is €112 for a pack of 5. So with these, you get more quick draws for a less price. So that is really good, and if budget is a consideration, then it's really hard to look past these quick draws. Right, that's quick draws done. Let's hear more about Teresa's long-term test.
So today I want to talk to you about this shoe. This is my second ever pair of climbing shoes. I wanted something that was different from my beginner shoe. I wanted to move on onto something more aggressive. So I went to a shop and I tried on more than 20 pairs of shoes and finally settled on these, the La Sportiva Otaki Women. So I wore the shoe for about a month and I was at the climbing gym one night. I just left them on the mat, went for dinner, came back and they were gone. So I was quite mad about it and I just went to the store the next day and I bought the same shoe again. So this is actually my second pair of the same shoe. This shoe is designed to be a performance-oriented climbing shoe. Precise, supportive, and thanks to its stiffness, it excels outdoors. The difference between these and the men's version is that they have a reduced volume, and for rubber, they chose a softer rubber, the Vibram XS Grip 2, instead of the XS Edge. The midsole is 0.3 millimeters thinner compared to the men's version, making the shoe a bit softer and more malleable for lighter climbers. Right, sizing-wise, I'm a 36 street shoe size, and that original first pair I downsized by 1, and instead these I downsized by 1.5. I got to admit they were so painful to break in, and it took me so long, mainly because I was just wearing them once a week, maybe twice outdoors. So it took me months to break into them, but when I finally broke into them, the leather just molded to my foot and it became an excellent, stiff, but comfortable shoe. In hindsight, downsizing by 1.5 was a bit much because this was just my second pair of climbing shoes. So being downturned, my foot had to get used to being in a downturned position, so it was maybe a bit more painful than it should have been. However, if you can try on a pair of shoes before buying them, definitely recommend that. But keep in mind, the leather does stretch over time. This shoe is excellent for edging and they hold up perfectly when you have to smear. And if your foot is in a pocket or when you have to hold a side pull, these little rubber patches in the toe box are enough to make you feel secure. So the downsides. It lacks a big toe patch, so it's difficult to toe hook onto things, so I wouldn't necessarily recommend it on overhanging routes or as a bouldering shoe. And the second thing is the heel. I don't really trust it, it just feels a bit floppy, and even though my toes are curled up in front, I still feel there's space on the heel, and maybe it's just my heel that's really small, but because of that, I don't really trust heel hooking in these. So I think this shoe has stood the test of time. I've already resold them twice, I'm gonna bring them back for a third time. This shoe brought me from a 6B to a 7B, and I think I just became an overall better climber because of the shoe. Right, so that's my Otaki review. Back to Matt.
Cheers for that, Teresa. Now, I've got my Arc'teryx jacket back on, which is great because it's freezing down here in the basement. Now, with Arc'teryx, we are sponsored by them here at Climbing Daily, and they usually send us a big load of kit at the beginning of the year that we use. But with this, the Thorium, I specifically asked for it because I was so impressed with the specs and style of it. Now, this is a 750 fill grey goose down jacket weighing in at 410 grams, and that packs down down nice and small, but you still get that beautiful, puffy, airy feel with the jacket. Now there's generally two types of insulation, down or synthetic. Synthetic is the man-made alternative to down. Synthetic shrugs off water a bit more and has some other qualities, whereas down is pretty warm and is generally the standard. However, some people do have an issue with using goose, so if you're one of those people, you're not going to want to get this jacket. Confusingly though, there are areas of this jacket that are synthetic, and that's to improve the performance. So there's synthetic in the cuffs, hood and underarms. The areas that are going to get sweat, get wet, and therefore potentially get that down soaking. So they've used synthetic to avoid this issue. Now the down in the jacket is not hydrophobic down, and that means that this jacket is better suited to cold, dry conditions. So if you're out in Scottish winter, you're going to probably want a synthetic jacket or an insulated jacket with a hard shell over the top. It would make a good belay jacket because of the weight and because of that small pack down size. It means you can put it into a bag, climb with it, put it on at a belay, and it won't take up too much space. So I wanted this jacket to replace my Thorium LT, which is a smaller down jacket and works great as a mid-layer. But Arc'teryx reckon that this jacket is also a mid-layer, and I'm not 100% sure with that. I think there's a time and a place for it being a mid-layer. For example, that belay situation, if you put it on, put a hard shell over the top and you're just standing there belaying, it's no problem. But if you try to use it as a mid-layer when you're climbing, it does get a bit bulky, especially when restricted by a hard shell. So I think for harder technical climbings, you're not going to want this underneath. But for easy ridge bashing or romping up easy ground, this does work very well like that. It's got all the advanced features you'd expect: storm hood, elasticated cuffs, zippered pocket. Size-wise, I'm about 5'8". This is a medium. I could have squeezed into a small, but I wanted it to be able to accommodate layers beneath it, and therefore I wanted it slightly bigger. Personally, I like the styling on this jacket, and it's to do with that subdued, dark, almost black colour. I feel that I can wear this out climbing, but I can also just take it out to the pub in Chamonix or just wandering around, and it's kind of got that smart, casual feel to it. So if you live in a mountainous area and you need to look a little bit, well, like you've scrubbed up a bit, then this could be the insulated jacket for you. It's not going to be for everyone, and there is definitely an argument and a debate to be had about down versus synthetic for climbing conditions, but you guys can have that discussion in the comments down below. It's a quality jacket, it's been great for me so far, and I've enjoyed wearing it. Okay, so that's it. 3 items that we've been using long term here at EpicTV, and I just wanted you guys to know that that's what we do with the gear. We don't just try it and put it in a box, we try it, use it, take it out and try it in a variety of different conditions so we can give you guys our proper, well-tested opinion. Let me know in the comments below what you think, and I'll see you soon.